Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast. Here on the firearms. Anyway. No laughing? That wasn't even funny? Well, I know it wasn't funny to Jason.
Sound a little constipated.
It makes Jason think of when he was younger. And Travis, it's the stuff of his nightmares. So, at any rate, good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. I want to take time to thank Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company. They rocked out another great patch of the month.
They did.
Check that out.
I'm really digging that patch. I might buy two in case the other one gets dirty.
Give love a shot. You got over-under, and then a suppressed rifle with some steel and some clay, some shot shells. It's a beautiful thing.
They had me at shotgun and clay.
Uh-huh.
I had no heart.
Holy crap, I just looked. So this is how detailed this patch is, kids. I don't think I can get the camera in focus, maybe. But on the barrel, yeah, you can.
Oh, I didn't notice those on mine.
It actually has the porting. Looks like we've lost Travis for a moment. All right, so what's everybody up to? I was busy trying to get back to life, so the podcast will get posted after we're done tonight. So the previous one. Anyway, so I've been trying to do that. Other than that, not really much of anything. Jason, how about you?
Not really much of anything. Not much from me, Mike. Not really much of anything. Let's see. About the only thing I can think of that I did was I'm working on a guy's house who is a long-range shooter. He took a course. I think it was in Idaho. I'm not positive about that. And then he went to, I believe it was Texas, and went on a hunt. And I don't even remember what he killed, but he killed something at 900 yards. So he's, even though I'm working at his house, I don't get to talk to him much. He's usually gone. But when we first met, he and I chatted a little bit about reloading and shooting long distance. So hopefully sometime this week I'll get to chat with him a little bit more. That was it for me.
Travis, are you back?
I'm back. So I found out that my camera had or my phone had a super slow mo feature on it. So my buddy and I were at the range, and he's got that new X5 Legion with the polymer / tungsten infused frame. I gotta say, that thing I was very impressed with that. It I don't know if you guys have held one yet, but it's really odd because it's heavy like metal, but it feels like polymer, but it feels like metal too. It's the weirdest thing. But we were able to shoot our pistols and record ourselves, and we were able to tune our recoil springs, to exactly what we wanted them to be at. And that was really cool to find out that we could do that with our phones. So, if Jim was here, technology, it's a wonderful thing, kind of like powder coating. Then I also I've been working on filling up some 5-gallon buckets of 12 gauge shells, kind of stocking up for 3-gun season to start up. So I did a whole bunch of reloading on the old Ponsus Warren. And then earlier today, I processed probably 1,500 pieces of 223 brass. What did you do, Sharinda?
So I didn't finish my list since you told me I do too much stuff. I went grocery shopping for some 45s. I got a demo this weekend on showing how easy it is to change calipers, and we're gonna load 45. Collecting shot shell for 12 gauge. I had a bunch last year, and I got a few boxes more this year. Prepping for a turkey and pheasant hunt. I loaded a few more 223s yesterday. I'm shopping for 308 parts because I want to do my own build, and I'm planning to attend a couple of 2A meetings in Missouri the next month or so. And that's where I stopped my list.
I wasn't telling you to stop putting stuff down. You just make the rest of us look bad.
Well, I mean, like I mentioned, I don't have a husband, kids, or dog, so I kind of have more of a life than you guys do. Oh, and getting ready for the Chiefs parade tomorrow because, you know, it just took us 50 years to win a Super Bowl. If anybody has anything negative to say, well, it won't be these fingers you get.
When you say we, are you part of the team?
Yes, in spirit. I coach from the couch.
Gotcha.
That's it. That's all I got. Mike. He's choking.
Dying.
Nah, I'm not that lucky. All right, no cartridge corner tonight. Originally, we were looking at having a guest, and then some dumbass named Mike forgot to email him last week while he was busy doing everything else, and didn't set it up. So we're gonna go and cover some questions. But so first question. I scroll the correct direction anyway. So first off, great show. You guys keep it simple and fun. Keep doing what you're doing. After watching the case trim show and wanting to begin loading 223, I'm starting to look at case prep tools. By the way, Travis wants us to redo that one because he decided it wasn't important enough to show up here to do the podcast to talk about his Dillon trimmer and his other trimmer. So
well, I think
he's feeling left out.
That was one show I really wanted to be on. If you remember, we planned on doing that show at least 2 times before when you guys did it.
Not 2 times.
It had to have been at least twice because I got all my trimmers out and set them out here twice. I know I did that.
It was there was one we were going to do, and then somebody started talking about primer seating depth.
Correct. And then the other one we started talking about powder coating and casting.
So it looks like Travis derailed us twice. And then
that was Jim. That guy can't stop talking about powder coating. What you guys don't know, behind the scenes, he's just always talking about powder coating. Then when the cameras come on, it's all about A-locks.
He's a closet powder coater, huh?
Oh my goodness.
But anyways,
I digress. I am looking at case prep tools. As of right now, I only load 9mm, so I've not worried too much about trimming and such. I applaud you. Don't trim pistol ammo or trim pistol brash, unless what, Jason?
It gets too long.
What pistol
certain-
brass do you think you could shoot that you would actually have to worry about trimming?
Bottleneck.
There you go.
I got one right.
Yes.
Isn't there some that you want to trim down for some certainly some brands specifically for some revolvers, just for consistency?
For consistency, yes, you would. What I have tested that out, and I've trimmed a certain brand of brass all to the same length, and I was shooting extreme distances. This was before you were on the podcast. We would shoot out to 300 yards with it, and the consistency you get with the trimmed brass was pretty mind blowing for a pistol.
Wow.
Yep. 5.7 by 2.8 would be one. I want to say there's a Russian one. Isn't the Tokarev 7.62 by 25?
Yes.
Yeah. So, therefore, after looking at all the options for cutting, then you still need the deeper chamfer tools and swagers. Well, you wouldn't necessarily need the swagers unless you're shooting something that needs to be swaged. So, and then you really only need it once. Would like to start off with an automated trimmer, not hand turned. Wouldn't it be best to just buy the Frankfurt Arsenal Trim and Prep Center in lieu of purchasing everything separately? As Jim would say, buy once, cry once. Any options? Any opinions on that setup from the group? Thanks, Bill H. Hey, Jason, what do you think of that thing?
It is good. My biggest thing is writer's cramp when I'm prepping on that thing. And the only time I remember to wear like rubber gloves or something with some grip is after my hand's already cramped up, and it really doesn't make any difference at that point. So yeah, if you want to save some money and get an all-in-one, something like that is that's a pretty good deal. It's a good machine. It is loud. I wouldn't want to do it in my house. I'm sure I'd piss my wife off. It's because of the gear reduction in it that makes it loud. But I don't mean like it's going to deafen you or anything. It's just annoying. Faster would be some of these trimmers that we put on our drills and whatnot. Or Dillon, you want to go automated, go to Dillon.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. We need to know what this guy's quantity of brass prep he's doing at a time. That's going to be a big factor in this. And then what kind of press does he have already? If he's got a single stage, he could get the Dillon trimmer or such that mounts on the press. But ideally, he would really be more beneficial if he had a progressive at that point. And if he's only doing 100, 200 at a time, I think that Frankfurt Arsenal is a perfect setup.
Yep.
Who I did see on who was it? Maybe someone in the chat right now. In our Facebook group, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. They took, I think it was probably the World's Finest Trimmer 2, and they took apart a variable speed drill, and they used the guts and everything, and they put it on a dimmer switch, so they could turn it on. They had a dimmer switch, so they could adjust. It was who? Oh yeah, Drew Brewers. Yep. That right there is a DIY project. That was a perfect setup. I just like you said though, Jason, my problem has always been with like the World's Finest Trimmer and all those, picking each piece up and sticking it in the trimmer. After a while, your hands you just can't do too many of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was happy to have anything getting started, and now I'm like, hand. That's
Yeah,
not gonna come out right. Hand jobs are not the business.
you still need to buy some pilots and stuff for that Forester I sent you.
Yes, I was going to message you and ask you what parts do I need, because I got a piece of wood I'm gonna have it mounted to.
Yeah,
Thank
you probably better.
sir.
Yeah, you better ask Jim because I never even used that thing. I say
What?
I have the Hornady hand crank one, but I prefer to have some power and stuff behind my stuff. I don't like. I couldn't do that.
You don't
I
like
use
hand
it.
jobs either. I'm just gonna shut up now.
I do use that on some of my precision rifle stuff, but other than that, I try to use something else.
Well, that's gonna be a big improvement. Just cranking it a few instead of this.
So Mike and Jason, we should take a bet how long it takes her before she tries hooking up a drill to that thing. She's talking like it's a big improvement now. I say 500 cases, she'll be asking how she can take the handle off and hook a drill up to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I haven't pressed send on that message yet. It's typed up.
But yeah, like I said, back to the guy's question. I think we need it's important to know how many cases he's doing. If he's doing 1,000 or so, I would say he's definitely going to want something, to really minimize the time he has to handle each case. And then if he has a single stage or some kind of progressive, because if he had a progressive, I would go with something like the Dillon RT 1200 or 1500 and just load that press up. And every time he's pulling that handle, he's going to be trimming. And then I think Jason said it before, generally that thing cuts so nice, you don't really have to you don't have to deburr. If you want to chamfer it, that's fine, but I don't do any of that. I cut it and I throw it back in the tumbling media, and it seems to knock off any little burrs that were there. And then when I go to load it on the 1050, the die, kind of flares open the case neck a little bit anyway. So yeah, Idaho Rogers, he said and I got that one too. The Lyman Case Trim Express is another good one. But I after I got that trimmer, I wish I had the opportunity to try out the Frankfurt Arsenal, because it seems like that, tell me if I'm right or wrong, but that Frankfurt Arsenal is pretty much set up just like the Lyman Case Trim Express, but it also has, just like the RCBS Case Prep Center, it's got it's got like 4 or 5 different stations that you can set up with chamfer, deburr, the little brushes for your primer pockets. You can even put on a primer pocket swage deburring tool on there. You have that Frankfurt Arsenal, Jason?
Yes.
Does it have 4 or does it have 5 stations that you can use on top of the trimming aspect?
I want to say 4. Been a while since I messed with it though, so don't quote me.
Yeah, so it's hard to say because I'm guessing they're pretty close enough in retail price, one versus the other, and the one, it looks like you kind of get more stuff with it.
Hey, look, Grumpy Cat joined us.
Hey, did you at least get out of your truck this time, Jim?
What are you talking about?
You went to the range for a meeting. Did you get out, or was it too full and you just went back home?
We went in the clubhouse.
Good to hear.
I'm not about to take and try to shove somebody off the range. Look at him. He mutes himself. He stirs up some shit, and he turns around and mutes himself.
No, before you came on, I said I've gone to the range before, and we're all nice. That's the thing. I don't know if you know this, Jim, but us shooters, we're and reloaders, we're some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I waited
So-
a half hour. I waited a half hour, and I decided that was long enough.
How come you didn't get out, go up there, and ask if you could shoot with them?
I like to shoot by myself.
Oh.
There we go.
So back to his question. If he gets the Girard, if he's just looking at doing 223 and he gets the Girard, he wouldn't need to worry about chamfering and deburring.
You know what? Just let me grab one thing. I can't remember the name of it, but
Well, while he's doing that, so I got 4 cases sitting here. That is, let's see here. So this one is 556. That one's 308. That one's 303 British. That one is 475 Bishop. So people kind of get a comparison because I found my empty. So.
Drop the 303 British in head first. Or not head first, case neck first. Neck first. It almost would go.
Yeah, it's got a rim.
So did it go? You went in all the way, didn't it?
Yep.
But don't careful. That might get stuck. Notice how big it is, guys. He put the entire 308 case in the 475 Bishop case. That's probably hitting on the web of the 475 case.
Yep.
yeah. So I can't find what I was looking for, but Russ knew exactly what I was trying to find. It's called the Trim It 2. So the Trim It 2 is, so anyone knows what the world's finest trimmer is.
Yep.
The Trim It 2 is basically a much better version. So it basically has the Girard tri-way trimmer in it. So you can cut, chamfer, and deburr just like the Girard unit. But it's basically just like the world's finest trimmer. You got to hook it up to something. And it still has the same kind of inserts as the world's finest trimmer, the second edition, where you can pull out the inserts for different calibers. But that's a pretty good option too, because you can hook that up to a drill or some kind of power unit, and then you can cut, chamfer, and deburr all in one cut.
I have some tools that are from a company that went out of business, unfortunately. It's a tri-way trimmer. It's called tri-way trimmer. It cuts, deburrs, chamfers all at the same time. And at the time, I wish I'd have bought one for every caliber, but I bought one for 270, 308, and 556 or 224. But it's great because it cuts the trimming time by 2/3.
Right. That's anytime you can eliminate some steps, and because if you have a trimmer, and let's just say you have it on a drill or something, or a manual hand crank, you got to pick the brass up, trim it, and then if you want to, you've got to chamfer and deburr. It depends on how you're doing it. If you got a hand, deburr, the RCBS chamfer and deburring tool, that's at least twice you got to handle that brass. So if you're doing 1,000 pieces at a time, you're going to have to handle that at least 2,000 pieces. And like Jim just said, and like I'm saying with this Trim It 2, you could pick that one piece up, cut, chamfer, deburr, and dump it off. And that's at least, just handle it the one time.
Yep, because the way I trim, I use a drill press, and I trim it, my WFT. And you have to trim, I have to deburr, I have to chamfer 3 operations, so 1,000 cases. That's 3,000 operations. I can do 600 of them in roughly an hour, but that's not the point. I still do have to do them all.
I imagine your hands pretty tore up afterwards.
No, it just it's a matter of taking it out, putting it up against the drill press. You got to learn. You just at drill press speed, even low speed, it's very, very, very quick. It takes just a blink of an eye, and you've ruined the case because you've chamfered it too much.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, we talk about the world's finest trimmer a lot, but you should go over and look at the Trim It 2 because it's basically the same thing, but it has a 3-way cutter on it.
I just wish sometimes we get into these tools and stuff. I wish I'd have bought the Trim It 2 first, but unfortunately the WFT came out first, and I'm not about to turn around unless I sell my WFT, which I'm not going to do. Use that money for the Trim It 2. You get the idea.
There's no reason you couldn't sell the world's finest trimmer and then.
Yeah, you're right. I could. It's just stubbornness. You ever know me to be stubborn, Travis?
No, not you.
Just as stubborn as you are, Travis. Just as stubborn as you. Shut up, Sharetta.
Mean old stubborn dude too.
I used to treat you like a polite, nice, and look at you drinking right out of the bottle, girl.
Oh, gee.
Oh, God. I tried one bottle of that. I'll never try it again.
Hey, it's better than booze.
Well, you're true. Anyway, Travis and I, neither one of us are
Says who?
So your Chiefs won, did they?
50
My
years.
homeboys did it. My homeboys did it, as that shirt said. Took me a while to figure that out.
No, it's my homies.
My homies, okay.
My homies. Or my homes. That's a paid kid. I wish I had the interest in his bank account.
Okay, so Raggle Fraggle, I know Mike knows this one. Mike, which one is the RCBS Pro trim? I can't remember what that one is.
Mike, you're being paged. He's playing on his phone.
I was trying to look up the RCBS Pro Trim.
I know I can picture. I don't think it's okay. I know which one it is. It's just got the little handle. It's powered, and then you drop your case in. It's got a handle you kind of shove it up into. So kind of like what we just said, the benefits of the world's finest trimmer is it's cheap. And because it's cheap, it doesn't come with any kind of power unit. You've got to figure out how you're going to turn the device.
In the directions, they actually suggest you use a cordless drill.
Yep. So most people hook it up to a cordless drill because that's also cheap, and most of us have that. So the downfall of that world's finest trimmer is it just cuts. It doesn't chamfer and deburr, but it's cheap. So the benefit of the Trim It 2 is it's also fairly cheap, but you have to hook that up to a drill or something powered device also. The benefit of that is it cuts, chamfers, and deburrs. The RCBS Pro trim, if I'm thinking correctly, it comes as a powered unit, so it's going to be more expensive, but it also just cuts. So then you have to chamfer and deburr after that.
What's the price on the Trim It 2, Travis?
Oh, I can look real quick, but
$132.50 in stock.
The WFT cost me about $72.
Yep.
All right.
But like I said, it cuts, chamfers, and deburrs, so it depends on.
It's quicker. There's no two ways about it.
However,
Yes, Mike.
RCBS for the Trim Pro 2, they have a couple of options. They've got the hand crank. That's not what I wanted, you stupid ass computer. But they also have a 3-way pilot chamfer and deburr.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about. Is that
For
is that what
$9.
you can hook up? Yep. But
You
can
can
you hook
actually-
that up to that Pro trim?
This is actually for the Trim Pro.
Oh, perfect.
It's a 3-way Pilot chamfered all in one.
Now that you
Yeah.
guys mention it, Forster has the same thing, but it's caliber specific. You guys got to remember that. If you want to change calibers, you have to send your device to Forster to
Well,
have them
that's
readjust.
Yeah, and I do remember that that piece, the RCBS tri-way cutter that Mike just mentioned. It is pretty inexpensive, and technically, you could purchase that and figure out some other way of mounting that up. You wouldn't necessarily need to get the RCBS Pro trim device, but that, like I said, the benefit of that Pro trim is it's a power. The one I'm thinking of, at least, is a powered unit. So you just plug it in, and then that takes all the stress off of your hands. Yeah, technically, Mike, I think you could figure out a way to kind of rig up that RCBS to something like what you're showing there. The RCBS, it's got a shaft on it that you
no
have to
rigging
hook onto.
required.
Yeah.
So,
But you're not going to do a whole bunch of trimming with one of those.
I do.
why not? If you're not
Like I
lazy,
said,
you are.
I said, for me, it hurts. It hurts my delicate little hands to do a whole
Yeah, I'm
bunch
sure
of.
it does.
I mean, yeah. Because you're not,
Drill.
is that because you're not smart enough to hook a cordless drill to it, Travis?
That could be it.
You still got to pop it off, pull the brass off, put a new one in.
Oh no! Oh, that's so hard.
But here's a cool thing that I've been watching some videos of, that new Lee APP press. I think you could take something like what Jason and I have, the Dillon trimmer, hook that up to that Lee APP press, and basically every time you pull the handle, it's feeding a piece of brass in. You could trim it, and then it automatically kicks it out. I got one coming. I'm like number 83 on the wait list at that Titan. From what I hear, Lee didn't anticipate this press being as popular as it was, so they're a little behind.
No, that's what I did with my Forster trimmers. I just chuck directly under the shank of the outside end of the shaft. It's 500 thousandths diameter, and I got a 1/2 inch chuck on my cordless drill.
Yeah, before you came on, Jim, I was saying in the Facebook page there. There was Drew Brewers posted a picture where he took, I believe it was the world's finest trimmer, and they took a drill, tore it apart, and made a mounting plate and hooked the guts onto that mounting plate, and then had a little on-off switch with a dimmer switch attached to it, so he could vary the speeds. And that right there is a DIY project that anybody should be able to tackle.
Well, I have a variable speed trigger right on my Ryobi cordless drill. I don't do anything except chuck it up onto it, and it works perfectly. And I've trimmed several hundred cases by doing that.
Right, you get what I'm saying. You could take an older drill, and it's the same.
Right.
It'd be the exact same thing like you're saying, and it wouldn't cost you anything if you had an old drill.
I do, but I'm not about to. I have a corded Milwaukee drill in my toolbox, and it's not about to go into a DIY project.
Hey, I think Idaho Rogers is talking to you, Jim.
Semper Fi, Idaho. And no, I'm not a Marine. Never will be either. I'm too old. Renee, that's exactly what I did. I mounted my trimmer to a piece of wood. You guys got to remember that on my bench, it's only like 24 by 50. And I actually have interchangeable wooden plates that I made up where I put my trimmer directly on a piece of 8 by 8 lumber. And anyway, so I put my Lee press on a plate. I put my Dillon on a plate. I put my trimmer on a plate. I even put my Hornady concentricity gauge on a plate. Travis, you had one of those on. And I put everything that can be put on a plate is on a plate. The only thing I haven't put on a plate yet is my Herter's press. I'd rather sell that thing than put it on a plate, because I have actually several shell holder adapters to for various calibers, and no, I just not gonna do that. That thing was good for swaging bullets. It's a C-shaped press, if you can imagine, and it was always strong enough to swage bullets.
So yeah, otherwise what you can do with these is you can pop the screw out and you can just get a different, get like a hex head screw to go in there, and you could run it that way too.
That's not a bad idea, Mike. Cut off an Allen wrench and chuck it up in your cordless drill. Put a socket head cap screw in the shaft. That way you've got a quick and easy semi-flexible adapter.
Yep. And RCBS does make a lot of plate holders. They also this is the Trim Pro 1, because it's got the interchangeable shell holders.
Mm-hmm.
The 2, one of the major design differences is they redid this, so it's actually a slide in and out. So it's self-adjusting. But so yeah, and it does have adjustment marks that you can use. Somebody else did ask that question. So.
Have you guys discussed the Forster trimmer?
No, we weren't going deep into trimming.
Oh, okay.
Somebody in the chat asked specifically about this one.
Okay.
Hey Jim, just so you know, I did cry a little bit. You and I weren't on the last trimming episode, so I asked if we could do it again sometime.
So. Anyway. Charles, I wasn't aware that Frankfurt Arsenal made a trimmer other than the case prep, so I'll have to look into that. But none of us have it, so.
It may be that he's calling the prep center the trimmer.
Could be. Anyway. I'm just looking at Brownells quick since I had it up and loaded on whether they actually have, other than the, but we're going to get into the whole mess again. So when Travis can be on so he can talk about his toys. Anyway. Yeah, they've just got the prep centers. I don't really see. I'll have to check their website. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, excuse me. Question 2. Travis, first off, thanks for helping me spend more money. Travis, well done. After you praised Ballistic Tools, I had to go to their website, and do you know, I had to order. My question is, how do you inspect your 223556 brass? When you're running a bucket of brass in your 1050, which you don't know the history of, I think I've heard you say you use range and donated brass. How do you inspect? Do you simply spot check? And if you do, what do you check? I've become much more vigilant after case head separation on a piece of my LC Lake City in my 300 blackout. I was firing it for the second time, so it failed on its third firing when it failed. Thanks, guys, and keep it up. I travel for work and always look forward to your podcast when I get in the car on Monday mornings. Well, Travis?
Well, first off, Chris Sharp, I'm jealous. He just ordered the pre-ordered the Hornady Precision Measurement Station that you showed us last week, Mike.
Uh-huh.
You remember I couldn't even speak. I was so excited for that thing. So to his question, I literally do 5-gallon buckets at a time when I'm trimming case prep wise. So if you could think about it like this, that's a ton of brass to load, shoot. So if I've got multiple buckets of brass, it's going to take me a while to go through that first batch of brass, and then I'm on to the next one. So I guess I'm just saying my brass isn't being shot, a whole bunch of times because I've got so much of it. If that makes any sense. So when I lube it up, I throw it in the 1050, I run it through, and I do all my case prep there, trimming, swaging, all of that. Most of the time I'm right there at the press, and if I can see something wrong, I stop the machine, I pull it out. Next time it goes through, it's getting tumbled, getting all the lanolin lube off of it. So I'm doing a rough, quick look at the brass then. And then it goes into the loading, and this is all really just for my bulk 55 grain stuff, my plinking ammo. So then when I'm loading, I'm right there at the press, basically watching every piece go through. And the 1050 does have every sensor on it. So let's just say a case neck is split. Then the bullet sense will sense that there's something wrong with the projectile, and it'll shut the machine off. So that's one thing that helped me with if a case neck was split. But I'm right there watching every case get loaded up. And if I see something, I stop it and I pull it out and chuck it. Then the next visual is when I'm actually loading it. After I load it, I am actually pulling out every piece of loaded ammo in my hands, and I'm quickly looking at the primers, just seeing if there's anything odd with those loaded rounds, and then I put those into some ammo cans or whatever. And then the next visual is when I'm at the range or wherever I'm at, loading up magazines, I'm looking at every round, and if there's something wrong, I chuck it into something else. So that's the way that I do it because I'm doing so much of it. I know the rest of these guys have their own way of doing it, but for me, doing it bulk, that's the easiest way for me, because if I've got some that's got something wrong with it, I'm going to catch it at some point before I fire it, because I'm handling it several times and looking at it. And sometimes I have gotten some in the ammo can to go out to the range that the primer pocket wasn't swaged 100%, and the primer's, a little Willy Wonkus in there, and I'm looking at all that when I'm loading it. So that's my final quality control check is before I fire it. Now, when I do my precision stuff, I have all the same head stamps. I anneal all of that. Each piece of that I am looking at and visually looking over every aspect of that, because I am annealing, checking everything. So that's completely different than my bulk stuff. So Georgia shooting connection, that's a good idea. I might do that.
And the time lapse is on Reloading Podcast Instagram page.
There is on YouTube. I did kind of a quick, wasn't this bulk stuff, but it was loading up my 22-250, and it's on our YouTube channel called I Roll My Own. But here, just so you guys know, I'm not BSing you. I happen to have a couple buckets right here.
See, grabbing them. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And Greg, no, it's not all the same headstand.
And this is what I did just before the show. And then I have totes and totes just right over there under the bench.
Travis is like
I'm-
a hoarder.
I'm glad Jim's mic is muted. He's trying to tell us sign language. What?
He's looking like great. Now I got to lean forward and unmute.
Yeah, but anyway, Travis, we believe you. That's why you couldn't hear me. We believe you. We believe you. You got plenty of ammo. You don't have to do it. Anybody with a 1050 reloads a lot of ammo. You've got it all automated.
Yes.
You do range. You do brass prep, and then you do reloading. Do you do it both at the same time? On a
If I
1050?
do brass prep and reloading. I can on pistol ammo, but not rifle.
Okay. Yeah.
Why not?
Because he probably doesn't have those stations.
Correct.
All right then.
And lubrication.
Well,
Oh, that's right. Rifle brass. Well, only with your carbide dies.
Yeah, Paul, I know. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
There is such a thing as steel dies for pistol ammo.
Yeah, now if I had the new nice Mark 7 with the 10 station, that could be a.
Well, there you go, Travis. That's your next project to blow your money on.
I know. You know, the sad thing is, I was on the order list for that the Mark 7 Revolution. I was impatient. It wasn't shipping out quick enough, so I called, canceled it, and I got the 1050. I kind of wish I wasn't so. You don't know how impatient I am. That's got me multiple times on a lot of things in my life.
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah. I can imagine. That's exactly why I won't replace my WFT with a T2.
No, like you said, that's just because you're stubborn.
No, it's called money.
And Georgia Shooting Connection, yes, somewhere under that bench there is a big tub of ALOX, unopened.
Whose bench?
My bench.
God forbid.
What's that big white? Is it called the white label, Jim?
White lube.
Because you know what? The honest truth is, before I came on, I remember you talking about that on one of the episodes, and that's why I went and bought that.
Yep.
X-Locks, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it's called. Yep.
And it's got a white bottle, white label. And I cut mine with Hoppy's number 9.
Seriously?
I do, seriously.
I thought that was a joke.
No. No, it's
Sharinda, are you really 50 years old?
me, yeah.
Sharinda.
Sharenda, you're being paged.
She's ignoring me.
I don't blame her. I would too.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Are you really 50 years old?
Almost.
Wow.
No,
Turned 42 this year. Where were you at for my whole birthday month celebration, man?
She's talking about the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
The last time they won the Super Bowl was 50 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, sad. We came close last year, almost. Getting there.
So Greg Wyatt said he hopes that I'm not loading near max with my mixed brass. So, like I said, this bucket of stuff here is just my plinking ammo. I'm not after anything specific with this. So I'm not worried about anything. I don't load near max. It's just a good average load just for going out and plinking with. My kid can shoot it in his rifle. We can shoot it in any of our rifles. I do use my 55 grain in 3-gun for close targets. And then, like I said, my my match ammo is all hand inspected. Every aspect of it is exactly what I'm looking for. So to me, they're two different animals.
Somebody's twisting your tail, Trenda. You see him, okay.
Yeah, I see
I
him.
read your lips. I read your lips.
Oh, Chris Sharp is quite the pot stirrer, isn't he?
But he does lick the spoon.
But he licks windows and eats crayons too.
Oh, I don't know if he was a Marine or not.
I do believe it was Idaho we were talking about. Do you still eat crayons? I don't know if he's in there or not. I don't know. I can't tell if he's still in there or not. He hasn't
I mean, heck,
commented.
we won't hold the window wicking. Say that 3 times fast. Against
Idaho Rogers, USMC. You still in there? Got a question for you. If you wonder, we want to know if you still eat crayons.
Did you know crayons used to have asbestos in them?
Really?
Yep.
Really?
That's why some of you adults are kind of special acting.
Some of you
Oh, that's the lead paint.
That'd be me.
No, I was at 2-day Wisconsin School Safety Coordinators Association training the last 2 days, and today was OSHA for asbestos and lead-based paint and mercury and all the good stuff. So that was the one thing I learned about that through that entire thing today is they used to put asbestos in crayons.
Any idea why?
Nope.
Probably to hold the wax together.
Probably. So. All right. Travis, I think that's different from. I think what he's saying is different from when you first started out.
Oh, in that case, yes.
Okay. Because yes, it has changed since you first started. So next is a comment. Your podcasts are always entertaining and informative. I've been wanting to write you guys for a while now, but hadn't had the chance. Keep doing what you're doing and have fun doing it. I listen on my way to work and while at my humble reloading bench and will continue to do so. Thanks, Matt H. Here's another informational thing, kind of. They put asbestos in everything. So, Georgia Shooting Connection said they used to put them in brake pads. Yeah, and brake shoes.
Oh, yeah.
When I actually first started working at the parts store, we still had asbestos brake shoes. So, that's where Raybestos got their name from. If you've ever heard of Raybestos brakes.
I have.
All right.
Asbestos was a fire retardant. They put it in everything.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's never been made illegal. It's just the use of has been frowned upon. So
Yeah, scare tactics, political correctness.
yeah.
And asbestosis is a thing. It really is. I know a guy who has it right now.
Yep. So is mesothelioma, and neither of them they have any solutions for. Anyway. Next one is when you guys were talking about the difference between the loading of a semi-auto and the functioning of a puller, you missed one of the most important parts of a puller. So we were talking about, I believe this conversation was when we were talking about a few weeks ago, not when we were talking about the new toy from Frankfurt Arsenal last week, because this is an older email. It says, hang on a second. All right. It is not so much the inertia applied when the puller stops that pops the bullet out, but the bounce back up off of what you hit. That's why almost all of them are plastic. When it hits and bounces, you don't just have the inertia of the bullet moving and the case stopping. You have almost as much force going back in the opposite direction, pulling the case away from the bullet. So there's added force to separate the two. In a semi-auto firearm, you don't have the bounce back, and the bolt travel is losing some inertia from the time it touches the back of the cartridge until it closes. As the cartridge leaves the mag, there is friction between it and the next round being squished against it by the mag spring, then pushing up on the feed ramp, then sliding down the wall of the chamber. All of those slow it down and help prevent bullet from sliding forward when it stops. Of course, like you guys pointed out, all of this only applies with correct neck tension. If it is too loose, you could get the bullet pushing into the case the whole way forward and then sliding back out when it stops. Thanks for what you guys do. Even after loading and listening for 3 years, I still pick up something new almost every episode. And tell Travis to stop being so rich and buying all the cool gadgets that I keep deciding I need and can't afford yet.
Hey, I'm just doing my part to find all the cool stuff for you guys.
And that was from Mark. All right. Last question of the day.
I was gonna say you haven't posted it in the show notes yet.
No, you have to be psychic and figure it out.
Mm.
Dang it, I hate it when he does that.
He did, but he deleted them out before you got here, Jim.
Dang prick.
See how he is. Let me refresh the document.
The question actually comes from one of the people in the chat. And it was posted in the Reloading Podcast group. All right. So Chris M posted in the Reloading Podcast group 260 REM with 140 grain SST. What the heck could be the issue? So he posted a picture of a target. And I'm going to kind of. So as you can see, really kind of interesting. So post the picture of the target and says, what the heck could be the issue? Only real group was the last, and that was a factory 129 SSTs. I'm lost with this rifle and load, feeling really confused. So, as we all love to do, we were all troubleshooting. Ah, that's right, Chris. See, as I told him, so we kind of looked, I looked at the entire chat. I asked a couple questions. I asked one that I didn't know was answered because I didn't zoom in on the targets, which was what were the charges for each shot group. And then I asked the distance. Distance is 100 yards. And when you zoom in on that target, you'll actually see the charge weights next to each group. So, usual culprits, scope toast, rings or mounts loose, and so Tyler Crow was the kind of the second comment in there, and he says, vertical stringing is often a sign of inconsistent velocity. Tell us about your load development procedures as well as the range and velocity data for those groups. So, sitting there and, talking back and forth, everybody's kind of talking, then Tyler said, at 100 yards, vertical stringing is usually the shooter and not velocity related. Even 75 feet per second isn't going to make that big of a swing at 100 yards. Many times, even 2 grains of powder charge. So, many times that even 2 grains of powder charge difference all grouped together. I'm sorry, but so what we figured out, Chris and I, with a bunch of questions back and forth and answers, is So when he said this and I'm looking at it, my thought was velocity, because it is a vertical string. That was my first thought when I saw it. Then he sent me some chrono data, which backed up the velocity. And sometimes at 100 you can tell, sometimes you can't. Typically, usually you won't unless it's a big variant. So, 50 feet per second may not make a difference. It may, depending on other conditions. So, but scroll faster. So he sent me the chrono data, and his min was 2520, his max was 2720. So, 200. It wasn't a lightweight barrel. I asked him that question. So I went through the usual stuff, troubleshooting of, okay, so is it how far apart were the shots? Was it a heavy barrel or a light barrel? So on and so forth. 6 seconds a shot difference. It was a heavy barrel. So chances of heating it up in a 5-shot group, possible, not very plausible. Unless, you're doing it on, say like a, 100-degree day or something like that, then, or on a completely windless day where you're not getting any air flowing across the barrel, I could see that. So we're sitting there going back and forth, talking about all the different things, what to look for, the different basic things of load development, seating depth and charge weights, and how is he's using a Chargemaster Light, or whatever they call the lighter, the basic version of the Chargemaster. So he's using a reputable powder thrower, and he's going through all the steps and everything. And turns out that the stem on his bullet seating die is crushing the tips on those SSTs. And so instead of having a really nice, now he's ordered a new stem and he's going to load them up and test to make sure. But as he's crushing the tips on these polymer tips on those SSTs, it's deforming them, and that causes more drag. So instead of 100 foot per second difference or a 50 foot per second difference, he's probably got a bigger one down at the other end of the range, because now it's got even more drag as it's going through. Plus, that can affect the accuracy, which is one of the reasons why Hornady now has the A-tip. Now, granted, they designed the A-tip for 1,000 yards and farther, but they also designed it for a reason, because the polymer tips were melting and deforming, and it was ruining the accuracy.
So did you guys hear that the Hornady's going to be getting rid of their VMAX line projectiles? Just a rumor I heard.
VMAX or AMAX?
AMAX, sorry.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah.
Mike, those deformed polymer tips also are going to throw the bullet off balance.
Yep. Think of it like not quite like a duck, like one of the wobbling duck footballs.
Kind of like when a quarterback tries and does throw a true spiral as opposed to a wobbling spiral.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as one of those really wobbly ones.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So it's enough to cause that difference that he had. And like I said, this is what we've come up with. We're not guaranteed that that's that until you test it. So like he said, he's got the new stem coming. He's gonna go ahead and load them up and go out and test them.
Good.
But I mean, I asked him about head stamping and, was he trimming and seating depths and, everything.
This is Chris Sharp you went through all this with?
No, it's Chris Malchney.
Okay, my mistake.
Good. If it was Chris Sharp, I'd just tell him to go screw himself.
I'd have given him wrong info.
Yeah.
We love you, Chris. Not.
So, but I mean, it So-
You're really going down the rabbit hole. That's all there is to it.
and that's one of the things, and just kind of. Brumbelow said he confirmed it with Hornaday last week that they are getting rid of the AMX. Yeah, there was some rumors floating around shot that they were, but they never confirmed it. So, but I believe they've actually got a press release out now. I'm not sure, and I'm not going to go look right now anyway. Jason, question for you in
Yep,
the chat.
got it.
So, but yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows you when you're troubleshooting, especially in reloading, even if you've got a good system going, if you've got different things going on, check with somebody else, get involved and start really picking it apart, because there may be something that you're thinking about that isn't the problem and you're focusing on that and what that issue is. And somebody else comes in with fresh set of eyes and goes, well, how about this? So.
Well, here's a good one from Greg Wyatt. He wants to know if this Chris Sem has the front sling stud hitting the
back.
forward bag.
It could be.
It's just a possibility. That's all.
Yeah.
It's good input.
I mean, there's lots of different things out there. So, usually when you're troubleshooting, it's a combination. You need to know, is it the idiot behind the trigger or is it something else? I mean, so it's a matter of checking your boxes on your checklist to see where. So, it wasn't necessarily consistent vertical stringing. So, Knox Spector, if you go, I don't know if you're a member of the Rolling Podcast group or not, but the pictures are in there.
Which one, Mike? Me or your Facebook?
Facebook.
Thank you, sir.
So I mean, there's lots of different issues that it could be. So Jason, what's the answer on the TMKs?
Jason can't type and talk.
I only do one thing at a time, but I do it really well. I haven't noticed any issues, but it has been quite some time since I've really done any testing with them. So I really don't feel comfortable answering that with any authority at the moment.
Honesty is the best policy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will tell you, when I was doing a lot of testing, TMK was my go-to. That was the best. I've not tried burgers. I went through Hornady's and what's that other big bullet company? And I cannot think of the name.
Burger?
Not
Barnes?
Burger.
Barnes?
What's that?
Barnes?
Not Barnes. Crap. I'm not going to be able to think of it. I didn't love any of those, but it's a combination thing too. It's powder charge, bullets.
Right.
It's a bunch of different things. I had what I had, and I was just kind of rotating through them, and that's what I came up with. TMKs were the best I found.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to try burgers at some point because I've heard good things about their consistency.
Spear?
I haven't done it yet. Nosler.
Yeah.
I had terrible luck with Nosler for some reason.
Sometimes. So Paul Nelson said he'd look at the bedding in the rifle, and if it wasn't for the fact that the 129 grain factory ammo shot fine, I would say yes. So, but in this particular instance, and you know, honestly, maybe you should look at the bedding anyway, depending on what you're planning on doing along down the road, because that usually is a weak point. But yeah, definitely another thing to look at. So I mean, there's lots of different possibilities. Good grief. So Jim,
Yeah.
what'd you do last week?
I finally found 100 cases, all the same head stamp of my 308 sorting. I actually found 161. I was looking at all the military brass I have, and for some reason, I cannot put together 100 rounds of the same military head stamp. And suddenly I realized I got a lot of FC 308 Win head stamp, and it's like, we'll see if we can't segregate them out. Well, it turns out I had 161 cases, and that's what I'm going to run with. I'll start checking. I'll make sure they're all worked to the same exact level. Start working them down, and then start checking by case weight. And then I know, then I will check them for case capacity as well.
And update your spreadsheet.
Well, I really don't understand the point of updating the spreadsheet, Sharenda, because it's case prep to me. It's not building ammo.
I'm thinking ahead for you.
Oh, that was weak. But it was good, but it was weak. Nice little save. Yes, guys, you probably know this by now, but Sharenda's got access to my reloading log. We've been working and talking about kicking out some ideas, and one idea I had was going by color. But the problem is, you know, colors sometimes are so by color by caliber. And it comes down to the point, do I just color the header line or do I color the whole segment? Color the header line in bold color and the segment where the data actually resides in a pastel color that just makes it still legible with black typeface. You know, there's all kinds of details. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier on the eye, that's all. The one thing about it, I do want to thank Sharenda. I never thanked her publicly. Appreciate everything she's done. The suggestion she had was, well, the color was a good idea. That was her suggestion. But one thing I didn't thank her for was commending me on how well organized it is. I think it's a mess myself.
No, I looked at that and I was like, what much more? He needs color. That's about it. But it made me get off my butt and update myself on Excel because your spreadsheet's a beast.
Yes, it is. It's a big one. It's got several years in it. The thing is, my reloading goes back to 1980, but my reloading records don't. They just don't. The only accurate reloading records I have anymore, I lost all that. A couple books got wet, and that was one of them. I lost all that back in about 2005. Yeah, about 2005, 2006. Colors, huh? That's what you think the only thing I need?
I thought I was unmuting. I looked at it again. I think maybe a couple V links, and I have to send you the definition on what I mean by that. That's just what I call them because I know I'm not using the right terminology in Excel. Where you can click on it and it links the data over to another
To another tab.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to know how to do that. I simply don't know how to go from one tab in a file to another tab in the same file.
And I used to do it a lot and forgot, so I gotta
Is
get
it
the formula.
possible? Excuse me, I didn't mean to step over you. Is it possible to go from a tab in file A to file B?
Yep.
Second tab, I can relay data from other files, individual separate files.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
Yep.
I thought it was possible, but I know there's only one person I know that knows how to do it, and well, I'm not going to ask him.
Well, the 22-year-olds know how to do it.
It's probably an easy thing. Travis, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so for those of us that still prefer to do things the old-fashioned way, my buddy Paul Nelson made me this nice book here,
Hey,
You know,
and he printed me.
everything.
Yeah, he printed off. He sent me the. So you can see it's got
Aren't you
every.
special?
I know. So it's got everything I'd need there: the date, cartridge, firearm. I mean, every aspect you can. I'll give you guys a quick look there, but yeah, he gave me a couple different ones.
it looks nice. You know what's funny
Yeah,
there is that's
I've
a
been
hell of
using.
Travis, that's a hell of a conundrum. I won't change from ALOX, and you won't change from hard copy.
That's just because I hate computers. But like I said, we've had this conversation multiple times.
Yep.
I would hope one day my kid gets into this like I am, and he has this book, and he flips it open, and he can have my handwriting and whatever little notes. There's just something about, I don't know, Jim. Do you Hey Mike, do me a favor and get my ugly face off the big screen, would you?
I don't
But
have
you
that.
guys, to me, there's some like magazines, like Recoil magazine, that I get a digital copy of.
Mhm.
There's just something. It's just not as. There's just something missing. I prefer
Travis.
to have the actual magazine. Go ahead, Jim.
You and I learned to read with something tangible. Tangible as in something in our hand. We learned to read hard copy. That's old school. Yeah, look, the lady learned to read.
No. This is my question. Please tell me you're at least scanning those and saving them as PDFs in case. What the hell? I mean,
Why would you do that?
He doesn't know how. I'm not making fun
I
of
do.
Travis.
I have a scanner right next to me, Jim.
Do you?
I can scan that. Yeah.
I mean, I have a notebook
Well,
too, but I also have a PDF form that I can also fill in the data if I want to and save it. But my handwritten ones are scanned and
No,
stored.
but here's I think Mike and I talked about this once. Mike, who is that guy that we were talking to? That has that really nice app, and we were talking about getting him on.
I don't know. There's a few.
The thing is,
Was it
Sharenda's
Hunt?
talking about storing. This is nothing more than a flash drive, thumb drive. A lot of people call them. I include me. But the thing is, she's talking about both hard copy and e-copy. This
And
is
put that in your fireproof safe.
Exactly. This is a 16 gigabyte.
Yeah.
The only thing that would go on here, the OS doesn't go on here. The only thing that goes on here is the actual file itself. And this is a 16 gig, and most PDFs are what, Sharenta, a mega to most?
Oh no. Some
A
are
megabyte.
quite smaller than that. Yeah. Some can be a little smaller.
But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is this can hold 1,600 megabytes. Yeah, that's right. 16,000 megabytes. That's right. That would mean 16,000 PDFs, 16,000 copies of the sheets that Travis has hard copy of. I have a question for Paul Nelson. Has he ever considered publishing that data sheet that he created for you, Travis? Does he mind sharing it? What? I'm just curious.
No, he's already told us we could. He's already said we could.
Okay, thank you.
No, but just real quick, Mike. The guy we were talking to was his app is World of Hunt. I think you downloaded it and I downloaded it, and I've been playing with it, and it's same thing. We could transfer that onto a flash drive or save it, however. But that was a really good app that I've been playing around with. We do need to get him on at some point. I think we were talking to him on Instagram. But no, I say I'm stubborn, just like Jim. I like to just write everything down, but I'm sure at some point I'll transfer over and have 2 copies. But
Okay, but when Skynet becomes self-aware, what good will that be? It won't be any good.
okay, Jason, I just watched the newest Terminator. Skynet is no more. It's Legion.
Legion now. Yeah, I watched that too.
Spoiler alert.
I watched it twice. It was so good.
Computers are the spawn of the devil. Who needs it? You don't need that in your life.
Really? Then why do you have one in front of you? You probably have 2 or 3 around you.
I have some. Still hate them.
Yeah, like Nox Spectre says, I do the same thing. I have little pasties. Like on the 1050
Really?
up there, I've got those
Hey, would you
sticky
say
notes.
We don't want to see your damn pasties.
Travis, you have
Please.
pasties?
Or what?
We
So
don't want
that's
to
where you
see
get
it.
all your
Honest
money
to God,
from.
we don't.
Now we know where the Buckeye Target's fortune was really made.
Okay.
Yeah, you ran into that one.
Head first.
You mean post-it notes? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Travis?
Yeah. Stickies, whatever you call it.
Stickies? Yeah, that's one thing. Pasties is a whole different thing.
If you'd have said Pacers, well, I could have covered that with their target repair.
Lakeview Outdoors, do you have an iFail or Android?
Yeah, honestly, I've been impressed with this World of Hunt app.
Have that.
Pretty nice little app. Yeah, there's by the way, there is apps out there that you can actually use your camera to actually take a picture of the item and then it'll turn into a PDF. I try to stick to 1 load per gun for the most part, Paul. So
Yeah, Paul, me too.
Holy jeez. I considered myself real lucky when my Mossberg MVP and my Savage Model 12 and I use the word like, not prefer, but they both like the same load. And he's talking about Paul has more than a few guns. But anyway, he's got like 5 loads. He's worked up 5 loads per gun.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So when you do that, Paul, are you using the same scope? And if you are, do you have notes that go along with these loads as to where you got to adjust your scope for each load?
are you talking about dope, Travis?
Yes. Distance of previous engagements.
Data on previous engagement.
Oh, look at you, smarty pants.
No, that's the correct term. That's all. I'm not being smart ass. I know you want to get it right.
Yeah, so Lakeview Outdoors, you should be able to find it in the App Store then.
I did find it for iPhone.
Yep.
Just
You
now.
mean,
Yeah,
Travis,
Paul.
I do believe you mean the Play Store.
No.
He said he has an Android phone. Play Store is Android.
Yeah, then there'd be the Play Store. The App Store is for
Oh, iOS.
I have a few different apps that I've played with, but never really settled down on anything.
Yeah, Paul and Chris, you only wish.
To answer Vanessa's question, to my knowledge, no.
There is such a thing as Bluetooth, Miss Kitty.
Yeah, she wanted Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I understand that.
So,
but I do believe the data she's talking about is like for her iPhone.
So another one of the apps that I have is about Reloading Calculator. So this is what that. No, it's not going to show up. Never mind.
Hey, while we're talking about this, another app that I really like, and there's different versions of it, but the one I use is called Range Buddy. So you can go to the range, take a picture of your target, and then if you go to my Instagram or the Reloading Podcast Instagram, there's some pictures of this app in actual use. But you can take a picture of your bullet holes, and then go on the app, and it'll measure out the distance and stuff, and then you can actually save all that data. And that would be a good case, like you're saying, Sharinda, to transfer stuff like that along with your loads. You could transfer these images and stuff all together, and then you can actually see the load and have an actual picture of what you did. It must be something really, really interesting Jim's telling us on while he's muted.
Well, I can tell he said shit.
I use an app called On Target on my computer. I can actually take a picture of the target when I'm at range, and then bring it back and put it into the computer, and take the picture and actually tell it exactly what my distance was. I can use it to find the center of the bullet hole. It'll tell me the distance group, the MOA, center to center, all the whole 9 yards. And the price wasn't too bad for this On Target. It was downloaded. I think it was on download.com, and it was like $13. And
I think it's a Range Buddy exactly the same. I think it was free.
Well, good for you.
So, yeah, there's a few out there that use Bluetooth. Caldwell's one comes off the top of my head. I think Crony actually has a couple now. LabRadar uses that. MagnetoSpeed does not. It's still cable driven.
Yeah, you can. That's what's nice about these. You can, like Jim's saying, you can take pictures of it. Put all your data right there. It'll calculate everything out for you.
Yep.
Well, Travis, in that case, if it was free and it's on your phone, is there a pro version that you can pay? You send the creator a few dollars, and you upgrade your free version to the pro version?
I'm not sure.
I'd bet usually that's what the app developers do. The free version is to encourage you to buy the pay version. And it's usually only $3 or $4, particularly coming out of the App Store. Coming out of the Play Store.
I'm looking right now to see if there is.
Yeah, there's a Range Buddy and Range Buddy Pro, and the Pro is $4.99.
There you go. And it probably does quite a bit.
The other one that I know, that one I don't know, because the free one has a higher rating than the Pro. But I know what a lot of people use is Ballistics X is another good app.
Mm-hmm. Russ Brumbelow is exactly right. On Target used to be free. It still is, but if you send money, you can send the guy some $13 or whatever it was at the time, and it's a little bit better, more developed version than the free version. I didn't mind. $13 isn't that much money. In Travis's case, what's the name of the app again, Travis? You're talking about
The one that I
Buddy?
have is Range Buddy.
Yeah, $5 for to upgrade to the pro version. But even if it's the same exact app, you're selling the developer a few bucks to help him improve whatever he's doing, to help encourage him to improve whatever he's done.
Paid ones usually have a few extra features too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, that's about it for tonight.
Matter of fact, I have StreetLock Pro on my iPad, and I got something else. I got another version of StreetLock on my phone. The two aren't quite compatible. I have to actually manually input the information differences.
Well, that's no fun.
That's right. Knox Spector got it right. Reloading apps do not have a broad public base, do not have a broad base of support. Thank you, LVO. He says he likes StreetLock as well. StreetLock's good stuff. And what's nice about StreetLock is, I think it's the paid version. They have constantly updates on various optical reticles. He's constantly updating that, and you get the upgrades for free once you pay for it. Vanessa Kitty, is that a typo you put in there? I'm not sure what that means. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we're about done.
Yeah, I'm just.
Oh,
There's a StreetLock Plus also.
that's the one I have.
The Plus, not the Pro.
The Plus on my phone, the Pro on my iPad.
Okay.
I have an iPad, which is an Apple product, but I also have an Android phone. The two aren't compatible.
So, at any rate. Sorry. Not as much caffeine today. Any rate, so yeah, like I said, one of these days we're going to get into apps and stuff. So we're going to get together and conversate and plan that one out. But and I got to figure out how we can make it so we can show the apps. That's going to be the thing. So we'll have to compile a list, and I'll have to have them all installed, and I think I can dial in from my phone. And I just got to figure out the volume issue is the one thing. Because right now, if I dial in with my phone, it gives nasty feedback. So.
Well, yeah, because you're feeding back from your speakers into your phone.
Yep. No, it's and the mic picks up everything, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to work on that at some point in time, play around. So, but I want to take time to thank everybody who swings by firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast. And leaves comments. I want to thank everybody who swings by reloading, or whoever swings by firearmsradio.tv and hits up the affiliate links for Brownells and Amazon. I want to thank everybody who sends us emails at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, whoever sends us texts or leaves us voicemails at 608-467-0308. And I want to thank our Patreons. And I want to thank everybody who tunes in live every week. Just remember, if you like it, hit that like button. and subscribe. Sorry. Every once in a while I'll say that, but generally not.
Hey, Mike, real quick, how do people become Patreons?
If you, I gotta look at that. So, if you go to patreon.com and you search out Reloading Podcast, we did have a link on the website, but I think that link is currently broken, and they're trying to. Firearms Radio Network is working on redesigning the website because there are some links that have been failing over time. So some pages that aren't there anymore that were there. So, but at the bottom of the show notes for every show is the link to join Patreon. So if you go to firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast and look at the show notes, it'll show the link. So.
Yeah, that's a good one, Paul Nelson.
Yeah, y'all got to check out that quote that Paul just put in the chat. So, but last little bit, Danger Zone said check out Shotgun Profiler for patterning shotguns. So we'll get into the shotguns when we get into the shotguns. So on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Be an asset, not a liability.
Powder coating rules, ALOX rules.
Show a lady how to reload.
Show every lady that wants to know how to reload. Take somebody shooting. Support the shooting sports.
Thanks, everyone.
Night.
2A all the way.